Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to this week's episode of Raising Unmanageables. I'm Bevo, and in the studio I have
Robert Rostick
and
Mason Caring.
And let's just jump right into our conversation today.
Okay.
And first thing I'm going to do is stop saying and.
Okay, and?
And the second thing I'm going to do is go back to a part of the conversation that we were having a little bit earlier today.
Right.
This morning.
Yeah.
About being an artist, being a creative, and money. But
Correct.
Before we do that, I do want to make sure that everybody likes, comment, and subscribe to this channel. With that being said, let's get into it, Robert Rossi.
Yeah.
The conversation earlier this morning about the stresses of money.
Stresses of money. Yeah, let's jump right into it. Because when it comes down to money, I know we've mentioned this 100 million times.
Right.
We need it. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs it. The problem is that we don't know how to ask for it.
Right.
And when we ask for it, we always feel guilty. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about pricing your work. Mm-hmm. Okay, how much is your work really worth? Mm-hmm. Let's into the psychology of that. Depending on the day that you're asking to price it, mm-hmm. Whether or not you got in a fight with your spouse or your kids or somebody, then you feel like your work is worthless, right. Absolutely friggin' worthless. Or if you just came off of a trip from somewhere in Ireland and you have to pay for that trip,
right? Or
if rent's due, then your work is worth a lot more,
right?
But it's always circumstantial when it doesn't have to be. Mm-hmm. We don't factor in the fact that we put in the labor, the work, and those are two different things. The labor of actually going out there, making sure that everything is absolutely right, mm-hmm. working to make sure that we do good business, mm-hmm. working to make sure that the products that we put out are of genuine products.
Right.
Craftsmanship.
There you go. And so we don't value those things, and the education that went into making that. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody walks out that door every morning, 7, 6, 5 in the morning, going somewhere for somebody, hoping to get paid.
Right.
And they're not producing a product; they're producing a service. Mm-hmm. They're there typing. They're there answering their phones. They're there doing IT. They're supporting a particular company. Mm-hmm. What we're doing is we're producing a tangible item.
Right.
Art, something on a canvas, a photograph, a design. We're producing that, yet we find that what we do is not worth it. When it comes to that question is, how much do you charge? When that question hits us, it's like, oh, your thoughts.
The thoughts on how to charge is always a hard curb or hard hill to get over. I think for a lot of creatives, just because of the fact that it creates this instant panic that happens, right? Because you already kind of talked yourself into how much you want to get paid for something, how much you want to, how much you're worth. Mm-hmm. And however much that is, whether that's $50 or $5,000, right? Mm-hmm. You've already kind of taught yourself into what that is. And like I was saying earlier before, I think your pricing structure sometimes, unless you have it really dialed in because you have other people working for you, mm-hmm. underneath you when it's just you, your pricing sometimes is directly rooted to your confidence in your work at the same time, right? Because without that confidence, you easily talk yourself out of that price. As soon as someone asks you how much do you charge,
sure.
A lot of the time, and no matter how far along you are in this game, sometimes mm-hmm. you still second guess yourself for just a second. I think, because I know I've done it even just recently. I've second guessed myself on it and said, and I had to take a step back and say, I know how to do this. Let's just keep pushing forward into what I know what my price should be. But for a second, I was like, I stepped back and was like, man, is this right or is this wrong? I'm not sure. Right?
Yeah,
and that happened for a second. But, and that's why I say the confidence comes in, because the confidence came back and was like, yeah, you know what you're doing. Just keep doing the work you're doing and give them the price that you know you're worth. Not just because you're worth it, but at this point, you may have some people that you need to pay to get stuff done. And you can't underestimate yourself, because if you do, then now the people that you have to pay come out of your pocket and not the client's pocket.
Well, they're charging you. Your people you have to pay, they're charging you a certain price.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they had to come up with a price as well.
Right. So
and that's not necessarily to produce the final creative. That's still on you.
Right.
You're responsible for that.
Yep. I'm definitely in line with that. That concept. And like I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier before about asking for money. Or having to break down.
Yeah. And I asked a question earlier. I said, okay, the person who is educated, college, master's, PhD, no matter what it is, they're very educated and they're very accomplished in what they do. And then the guy on the street. And when they're both asking for money for whatever reason, one, the educated one, maybe to fund a project that they feel passionate about, or pay off a particular loan. The guy on the street who's asking for money is asking for that money in order to get through the night, for whatever reason. The point I was making earlier about how they are the same is not that one has something that one wants to do, as far as the educated one wants to do with that money.
Right.
And the one on the street has nothing they want to do. Right. They're both trying to survive. And they're trying to survive by not just asking for the money, but getting through the shame. Right. The shame of asking for money. The shame of it. The stigma of asking for money. And I think they're both the same, and psychologically.
I think it's identically the same.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that there's no divide in that shame on any side of the spectrum.
No, not at all.
If you're asking for $5, right, you've already embodied the shame that you're asking for such a little amount. First of all, like, why do you only need $5? If you're asking for money and you only need $5, there's probably a lot of shame locked into that anyway.
Of course,
right? Of course. And then if you're used to making millions of dollars and you get in a situation where you have to ask for money, I would imagine it's the same amount of shame. Yeah. But the thing I found interesting about what we were talking about before is there's this little tweak on top of that I think the shame lies in, is where at one way, shape, or form, we've all had some amount of praise given to us.
Oh, yeah,
for doing a good job, or being a good person, or just being awesome. Yeah. And we've believed it. Yeah. Right? And we believed it. And I think the part that makes asking for money or accepting money or going after what you're worth, that the shame attached to that is because someone's told us that we're the shit. Yeah, we're everything and nothing can stop us. Right. And then we realize that sometimes what makes us the shit is our ability to be able to make money and keep the food on the table and the lights on. Right. So then how does those praise, how does that serve me if I have to then turn around and ask for the money again now, right? Like, how much of the shit am I if I got to ask for money?
I feel like there's two aspects. Like in general, society has a shame that we're all buying into about having money, not having money, how you're spending it. Are you really frugal? But I feel like frugal people are also very stressed out. And then I think everyone has their own, like how you watched your family, your parents manage money. Were they really good at it? Did they suck at it? And so you live through the ups and downs, and, you know, when you're like, oh my gosh, are we going to eat? I don't, you know, and so like, so growing up, then you're like super frugal and you like are hoarding food and whatever, or I don't know. I think that money is so much, and for I think thousands of years has been so much associated with the value of a human. I mean, truly, and that we've internalized it. And so it's really hard to manage that emotional shame and societal shame, whatever. Like, so everybody has it and everyone's dealing in all sorts of different ways. Right. I try to do, like, I constantly think about it. I'm trying to get over my own shame battle and value. And it's really hard as an artist because the objects I make are so personal and emotional. It's not a commercial industry for me. And I love how people are like, you're so talented. You could really make a living at it. I'm like,
I love that.
I want to strangle you. I'm like, I'm trying.
Right.
I'm trying.
As though like you haven't thought about that idea.
I know. Like,
ever.
really?
And you're like,
golly,
thank you.
shit, I'll get right on that.
Thank you so much.
Man, I want to
Thank you so
strangle
much.
those people.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Well,
I'm
here's the beauty part of it.
Right.
Turn around and ask them to buy your image.
Right.
What?
It's like, well, I don't have that in my budget.
Right. And so it's like as an artist, I have to constantly be an advocate for the arts, an advocate for women artists, and teach people the value of art and having art in their home and being a collector and supporting artists, whatever. Like that's my battle, even before I get paid.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like, I have to teach you how to value me every single day.
Right.
And that's like exhausting.
Yeah, no, it really is exhausting. And you know, I understand that from the perspective of that shit we were talking about just this week, just yesterday. And we have a new client, and it's always
a little shaky.
the beginning when you get a new client. It's like, where are we? And are we far enough along to where they're like not going to ask for their money back? You know what I mean? Like how far enough?
Are you going to ask for your money back?
Right. Or are you going to ask for it back? Like how far along are we in this process? So there's all these different things going on that can make you second guess yourself, or not even just second guess yourself, but think that you need to do something else that may be less to keep them on board, or to keep right. Like you have to entertain them a little bit more,
better price,
right?
Whatever.
But in that entertainment, in that better price part, when you start doing that, then you're doing that specifically to keep them as a client and not to do the work that they actually hired you to do in the first place, right? And it just gets in the way.
Well, you just backing up on that, you do have many different types of clients.
Right.
Some clients, as you mentioned one time before, that they're corporate thinking. It's like, here's the money, give me the work.
Right.
All right. So do whatever you have to do in order to give me the work. So let's take money out of it.
Yeah.
And then you have the others who are saying, well, give me the work, and here's a little bit of money.
Right.
So both of them screw with your head.
Right.
Because when someone gives you the money up front, especially the money you ask for, now you really have to produce in your head.
Right.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
In your head, you feel like I have to go above and beyond because this person actually gave me what I'm worth.
Right.
Right.
So I gotta do something to accommodate that.
And how fucked up is that? That's scary.
Right?
How messed up is that? That's a scary thought, right?
Like they're valuing me.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. As soon as you get what you ask for, it's like, God damn. Woo. Right. So it almost to the tune where, again, I was talking about it earlier, where I did a proposal, clients on board. They come from a corporate structure, not just corporate advertising or corporate marketing, like corporate. The money's on the table, and then the product's on the table, right? In that order. So I need to itemize my product sheet, my service sheet, right?
And laying out A, B, C, and D, what it's costing, right?
And I'm not gonna lie. At the beginning, there's a little bit of ego that goes into that, and you're like, this is my price. This is how much I charge you. I've already thought about this. This is how much I'm charging you.
Correct.
Right? But then when you're dealing with, that really flies when you're dealing with bigger companies, right? And they're coming to you because you already have a reputation that supersedes yourself and everybody else that works for you. But when you're dealing with small companies and individuals funding their own vision and their own journey and their own goals, and they're funding that, and it's coming out of their pocket, and there's nothing really else funding that, like they put that in their savings account for this, then damn right you have to break that down for them, right? Because if not, they just go to somewhere else who'll do it, right? And that person may not, and the money's not the point at that point. They might walk away and go to someone else who's not going to be willing to do the same things that you're actually good at, beyond the services you provide, like care and develop relationships and make sure that you're looking out for them, even when you're not sitting in front of them. Right. So it was a scary thing to have to make that list, because I was like, do I have everything on here? And I have to account for all the money that I already have. And I got to make sure that based on the budget that I know they have, if they have to exceed that budget, I have to make sure I outline things that may exceed that budget, but they can pick and choose where it's going to exceed the budget, right? So I can't at this point return back a itemized proposal that's more than what their budget is, unless they've they know that once they get to their budget and they're like, I need these and this and this and this, they know that those things are on top and they're extra. So I struggled through that all week mentally. I kind of like everything else was like was hard to deal with.
Let me point out something about that. That particular type of person. Now they're coming at it from a standpoint of every item needs to be accounted for. And one of the things that I learned very early on in the art world is that it's very important that you educate your client about where you are in your business. And even though they may ask for an itemized deduction, itemized listing of what it is, not deduction, that's taxes. One does not have to be as granular as it appears.
Yeah.
And so for instance, I don't state in my, when I'm doing a price, when I'm pricing things out, I don't state that every megabyte will cost you this many pennies. I don't go that deep, but I do say that if I do need an assistant, or I need a makeup artist, or I need a stylist, this is what it costs. Right. As far as the transfer of your stuff onto a separate medium, this is a media, then that's what it costs. But I don't get that far into the weeds. And when they do ask me to get that far into the weeds, I then turn around and educate them and say, there are things that we can't account for. Right. And in those things that we can't account for, here is what I've allocated so that it doesn't come out of your pocket. Right. This extra 15% over here, it doesn't come out of your pocket. But in this amount over here, if we work and get under it, you get it back. Right. So I put that 12 to 15% in every job, regardless. So I do whatever it is I think is going to be 12 to 15%. Excuse me, I'm going to expect to rate 12 to 15% on top of that. And then only thing that they need to know is that comes back to them if we don't exceed.
Right.
Yeah.
So, or it comes back to them, or it can just be used at a later time.
Either way,
for services that they may need pushing forward.
But the point is that as artists, we are thinking like chess players, and they're thinking like checkered players. Okay, this move to that, that to this, and we're thinking over the whole entire project.
The whole.
Because I think there's so many variables of like things can go wrong. Revisions, people's expectations. Right. There's only so much you can manage in people's expectations, and the education of what they know of the process and how things are going to be done. And so you have to. You're dumb if you're not padding it. Like when I worked retail many years ago, selling shoes, learning that the cost that we were buying the shoe at, then we were multiplying it by 6 to sell it. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. I was like, that's so much. But like, there's overhead, there's employees, there's da-da-da-da.
How do you get paid if you don't mark it up?
Right. Sure.
So,
and then how do you keep your business open? Right. You're not there to pay the bills. You're there in order to make money.
Right.
Above the bills. Right. That's what you're there for.
What I think we should be working towards as creatives and as artists is like every other business, working towards being able to have a team of people that can work with us, or we can pay them to help us get to where we're trying to go. And the reason I say that, I'm just thinking about it just now, is a lot of the times we're trying to do this by ourselves.
Sure.
And it's all overwhelming, from having to do taxes, from having to do finances, to having to make sure everybody gets paid when their time comes to get paid. And like you said, that chess game that we're playing of when's the best time for me to get this copywriter on this job? Because I know that there should be cash flow around this part of the month, and I could pay them not out of the client that I'm asking them for, but I could pay them out of something else that's coming in the next day or so, right? So being able to build, at least to have a couple people in your circle to help you get through that, I think is beneficial. And the only way you get to that point is to start pricing yourself and putting the worth in yourself, so that you can build and have people help you. And I think so that mindset of that is, I don't know. I'm just playing with the idea. I'm just thinking about it.
I want you to, let's carry that just 2 steps further. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur is that you're in charge of everything. You're responsible for everything. The buck really does stop here. There are no more excuses. One of the reasons why you want to be a business person is because you're tired of people blaming you for something that you didn't do, had no responsibility for yet, because you're the low person on the totem pole. There you go. Brian, you did it. You're responsible for it. And I go, well, if I'm responsible for it, why am I not driving that Jag that you're driving?
That's right.
So we get into it not necessarily because we want to be the richest. It's because we want to be the fairest to our customers. Right. And we know what our product is. You're no different if you're working for a major agency than you're working for yourself as far as the product is concerned. Because that boils down to a work ethic. Right. All right. So whenever, anyway, I am leading to a point here. Whenever we start adding more people on, then the price goes up. It goes up substantially. Sure. Yeah, and the responsibility goes up. Right. But the product is still the same.
The product's still the same. And I think the product can be better.
Because that's why I find it different.
I think I'm saying it can be better because of the fact that I have now more time to think about just the client at that point, versus the thing that's stressing me out the most. Like, I need to know my finances, but I'm better off if someone is tending to them on a day by day, and I need to know them, and I need to know where they are. You know what I mean? Like, knowing finance is the biggest part of your business, I think. But I don't think everybody has that capability of doing it day in, day out type of thing, right? So we've been talking about, hey, can you learn this shit so I can let you do this? And I'll check in and make sure that, don't worry, I'll bug you. Where the money's coming from and all that stuff.
Well, that becomes a natural progression as your business grows.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just like thinking towards getting yourself to the point where you can have people help you with some things is a mindset of getting paid what you're worth, because you won't be able to have people help you or pay people to do things if you're not asking for what you're worth in the first place. That's all I was saying. You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
I wasn't saying it from perspective of we should all try to be big multimillionaires as artists, right? Or function as a Fortune 500 company as an artist or a graphic designer. Right. But how do we make the money that we want to make to be able to have other people help us get to where we're going is an interesting idea to me.
And, based on that idea, you just mentioned something. As projects call, I do have a circle of people. Right. And they act as a team at that point because the project is bigger. Yeah. And you still want to maintain, no matter how big or how small the project is, a certain quality level of the work that goes out. Yeah. So, yes, you can employ people in as you get bigger projects. However, what I was cautioning people on is that not to go out and circle yourself with a whole bunch of people and do an MC Hammer deal.
No. Yeah. So I need enough people to get certain things out of your brain space so that I can still, so you can still touch your clients or your customers in the way that you've been doing it in the first place. Right? Because the problem what goes on with us as creatives is we've realized that we need that human connection. We make that human connection photography,
Right.
coaching, artists,
Right.
and then the rest of the shit goes down the toilet or gets put as less of a priority because we just want to make the connection.
Right. We just want to make art.
We just want to make art.
One of the
And we lose that connection with the money and how to get more of it.
Well,
right?
one of the things that I am very proud of being unmanageable is that name is actually misleading. Unmanageable means to be very manageable. It means
Of
that
yourself.
Right.
that's exactly it, of yourself. And that means that when you need help in areas, and I think we even started this thing off a year and a half ago or so, saying when you need help, you seek out help.
Yeah, you find it.
You find it and surround yourself with people that can help you. And as your business grow, you take on more and more.
Right.
But one of the things that you don't become is you don't become that person that starts to blame other people for your responsibility.
Right.
And that's what it boils down to.
And that's where, and I think a lot of times we I'm going to take a step back because I like the last thing you said about blaming people, because we do that as creatives a lot. And I'm going to lump artists into this creative circle, is when we don't make the money we want to make, instead of saying I didn't ask for enough,
Correct, yes.
we say clients are stupid.
Yes, we do say that.
Or the art world is fucked up.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. And both are true. Right. But at the same time, clients may be stupid and the art world may be fucked up. So you might as well ask for what you need in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because one of these stupid clients that you think are stupid is going to turn out not to be a stupid person. They just need a better understanding of you and what you're trying to do for them before they open up their wallet and their purse
And I think that
and write you a
circles
check.
back to the confidence of standing with the way you price things in your work and just being like, I'm sorry, this is how it's going to be. It's like not too long ago, someone reached out to me about doing an arts and wellness type of project. And the more I talked to her, the more I was like, oh, this is like so out of the scope of how I work. I can deal with like 100 to 200 people throughout 4 days of work. She was like, we're going to have 300 to 500 people in a day. And I was like, I can't even, I love working one-on-one with people. I love working with 10 people at a time max. Like, I'm like, I can't manage that. And so then it would be doing some art projects that's not really my thing, and then having a whole team of artists that I would have to hire. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to work with you. I'm like, but I cannot. I'm like, this is freaking me out. I can't even think about it. So it was hard to turn down that money, but I was like, this is the healthy choice.
See, but I'm sitting here smiling though, because I'm thinking of, artists are like, artists are like homeless people sometimes. Right? when you find a little group of them, you kind of stick together. You know where all the shit is, right?
Yeah.
Like this pantry has this corner. They're gonna give you the most money, right? Artists will get on the bus and help you out, right? You got some friends that'll get on the bus and help you out and won't even ask you for anything. And then when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about how you literally have a bus to your disposal where you can call Carrie, who actually has a bus, and it's called the Nomad Art Bus, and jump and put a bunch of artists on the bus and ride to wherever you got to go and figure that thing out, right?
Which I did. I sent Carrie to that person because I was like, Mason Gehring, painter and printmaker, I am not.
See, but what you could have done at that point, right, was pivot from having to be the artist at that thing and pivot to being the connector at that thing with your name still attached to it. So then you still reap the benefit of Mason can still come through with, they can still call you when they have that many people that they think they need to serve. Mason may not be doing the work, but Mason can facilitate the work.
You did something that, and I cut you off, and I cut you off because I want you to know something. I have this thing. I say education always costs you. Always, every single time, education costs you, because once a project has gone through your fingers and you were not able to do it,
Right.
you'll put that out there, and other people will say, hey, here are the things you could do.
Right.
And so the next time it comes about, then you're less apt to turn it down,
Right.
and then accept it because you know that there are options.
Right.
But at the time,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that very moment that someone is digging into you, those people are not around you.
Right.
they're not there to give you that advice.
Right.
And what one should think about, and this is one of the things that I've had to learn, is this thing of saying, is tomorrow afternoon a good time to talk back with you so I can go through this and with my group or myself
Right.
to figure this part out?
Right.
Is that a good time?
Yeah.
And because we do have this idea that things are immediate. They have to happen this very second. Whereas if we learn to say to our people, our clients, our potential clients, is that we need time to put together this thought process.
Right.
And we give them a definite time as to when we're going to get back to them, and then get back to them at that time or earlier. I think that it works better on our psyche.
Right.
And it gives a better definition of whether or not we can do the job.
Right.
So-
Now, let me volley back to you off of that comment, because as a couple, we've had this conversation before, right? She brought this to me, and we got a little bit into, well, maybe like who can help out, or maybe you can do 300, but at the same time, I'm tending to the emotional part of that, right? And I don't want to get into what she doesn't want to think about emotionally yet, right? So this is why I like this table and this platform and
those people.
and these people out here,
Yeah.
right? Is it can be brought up in a scenario, in a case where now we can collaborate off of it,
Sure.
and hopefully it's less emotional of a thing to deal with at this point, because we did discuss it. But I'm as I'm talking to her around that time, I'm
Circumstances
looking at her in the
were
face, and she's
way-
like, I
Physically.
can't even think about it. I can't even think about it. So
Right.
right.
And that is the thing. That's why one of the reasons why I mentioned early on when we first started today of saying that pricing is circumstantial, meaning where am I at this very moment?
Right.
That's how I'll react to it.
Right.
So when you ask me a price for something, if the rent is due, then it's this much.
Yep.
If I just came from a nice steak dinner, then it's that much.
Right.
But if I just, for whatever reason, I came to from the doctor, and the doctor tells me, and this has happened to me in a situation. Doctor says, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, and I'm not sure as to whether or not we can do anything about it. Then I'm giving away the farm.
Right. Yeah.
I'm giving it away. I'll do it for free.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's all conditional until we have that person or people or our circle that we can bounce stuff off of.
Right.
And as one was mentioning, if the circumstance had been, Mason, hey, let's get together with our group and let's hash it out as a group.
Yeah.
And the group meaning our team. Then Mason does not have to worry about, or Robert doesn't have to worry about the doctor. Mason doesn't have to worry about anything that's on her mind. The team is now, the project is now with the team.
Right.
And we need to have that go-to team.
Yeah. I lean on Mason a lot to get through a lot of days as far as the business stuff goes. And you can lean on me the same way. I do know I'm kind of like your wife in this instance. If someone asks me a question, I will inundate you with information. Like I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. Right. And if I don't know, then I'm immediately like, so here we go. And this is what we can do with the information that I just found. You know what I mean? So you have that to your disposal as well. You already know.
Yes, I do.
Right. But that means you don't have to process all that by yourself. And this is where I was going with the whole team situation and getting people around you to help you with things that you're not good at, like going directly.
So I knew you were going to sneak it back into your point.
Yeah. I mean, I have to, right? Like, we run on patterns, right? Like, that's how the world works. And that's how the brain works, right? And we try to find these patterns that are going to serve us, right? At least until it gets to the point where it's not, right? So I don't know. I'm excited so much right now. I don't think y'all even know, because this is working.
Yeah.
And these conversations they're not just helping, but they're hopefully redefining ideas for people as well. And so I'm just super grateful for that. So all this stuff is.
Well, I'll mention this. There will be a handful of people out there that are going to be successful, regardless. And success meaning that they're going to command a certain amount of money.
Successful on someone else's
on their terms.
Right.
Even on the fact of how we determine success. Mm-hmm. And they are going to go out there and they're going to make money, and you're going to see them on YouTube, and you're going to see them everywhere. They're going to be at award shows and all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And we are going to define that as a form of success.
Right.
But it doesn't mean one iota that they did not go through this process of what happens from start to goal, not finish, but start to goal.
Right.
And so we need to recognize that. Mm-hmm. And all I'm saying in this group is that in order to get there, it ain't going to be by yourself.
No.
Not one iota. No matter what way you look at it, it's not going to be by yourself. Mm-hmm. And the more you learn from people, surround yourself with people to learn from, the more you grow with those people that you trust, then you're going to meet your goal one way, shape, or another, if you stick with it. My mother always said, if you do something long enough, hard enough, with enough heart, you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get there.
Do what you love and the money will follow.
And it will. But I think you have to decide what that money looks like.
Yeah. I need to know what that is, whether that's going to be somebody carrying around dollar bills behind me or an armored truck. I have to decide.
Right. Is it $50,000? Is it $100,000? Is it $1 million? Mm-hmm. Right. Because once you define what it is, then you know what kind of work you have to do to get there. Right. But if you want $1 million and you only are willing to work one day a week, that's probably not going to be the vibe for you unless you come up with this product.
Right.
That sells a million units, right? At the same time, you still got to put more than an hour a day in to even get to that point.
Oh, right? You got to put in that time.
You have to put in the work.
Brad Pitt will command, let's say, $60 million a movie.
Right.
All movies take about 6 to 8 months to produce, and if you're going to get $60 million for 6 to 8 months worth of work, you got to be making sure that your product, is on point.
Right.
And if Brad Pitt was making $60 million or John Joe is making $60, he still has to make sure that his product is on point regardless. So if you don't practice your craft and you don't perfect your craft to the point where you're satisfied with your craft, you ain't gonna sell your craft. You're gonna be selling crap.
That's right. And with that, Robert Rosset, wrap us up, man. So we can get out of here today.
I really appreciate everybody out there checking in with us. We appreciate your time. We wanted to make sure that you guys know that we are in the manageables and we're raising unmanageables, and we want you to be unmanageable.
That's right. Thank everybody for tuning in this week. Thank you, Mason Guerin. Thank you, Robert Rostic. And we'll catch up with y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.